Alright, so in this video, I'll be refurbishing this almost 10-year-old Radeon HD 5770. This card, I won it on an eBay auction for $27 plus $6 shipping, so that was a pretty good deal. This is, like I said, an almost 10-year-old card. It has 1 gig of GDDR5 VRAM, and I'll be going over the specs pretty soon. This is the HP Shelby variant of the card. I don't know why they call it that, but it's the one that came in HP pre-built computers. Physically, it's exactly the same as the XFX retail version, except the retail version has this sticker on it and so on and so on. This is what you'll find inside a HP pre-built, but the body is exactly the same, the specs and everything is exactly the same. So yeah, so first I'll be just going over some specs of the card, and then I'll be going around some physical its outer appearance and stuff, and then we'll get into the video. Also, I'll be doing some benchmarks on this in a future video, so when I do that, I'll be benchmarking it in a couple of games like Call of Duty World War II, all the modern games in 2018, Subnautica, Call of Duty World War II, everyone's favorite Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and so on. So stay tuned to that video. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me and you want to see that video. When I do upload it, the links will be in the description and in the card above right there when I do upload that video. So now let's get into some specifications of this card. Alright, so like I said earlier, this card is the retail version of this card is manufactured by XFX, and so is this card, because I'm pretty sure HP does not make graphics card PCBs and bodies. So let's go over the specifications now. Now, as being an HD 5770, it is a part of the HD 5000 series that was released around 2009, 2008, I'm not sure, around 2009, and it's based on the Juniper XT architecture. Its core clock is 850 MHz and it has 800 stream processors. Its memory clock is 1200 MHz at 4.8 gigabits per second, and it's a 1 GB GDDR5 memory. So we'll see how much 1 gig of memory stands up in 2018 when I run the benchmarks on this thing. It's 128-bit, so it's pretty good, and it's GDDR5, so way better over the GDDR3. It's way faster, and that's good. It supports up to DX11, so that's just great. So all the games as of 2018 will work on this. I don't think there are games that require more than DX11. I may be wrong, so please tell me in the comment section if there are games that require more than DX11. I'm not an expert on DirectX, so please bear with me. Just tell me in the comment section if I'm wrong. It also has OpenGL up to 3.2. So for external ports, we have 2 DVI ports, 1 display port, and 1 HDMI port. The RAM DAC is 400 megahertz on this thing, and the max resolution is 2560 by 1600. It also has Eyefinity, but nobody really cares about that. It has a 6-pin power connector over there. I don't think you can see that. Let me get that to focus. It's hidden there within this grill-like thing. There we are. 6-pin power connector. There we are. So it'll work on most low-end power supplies, I guess. I hope it will work on most of them. So most power supplies will have 6-pin. You could run this off a 500 watt power supply with a Core i7 2nd gen. That's what I'm going to be doing. The website says minimum power requirements is 450 watts. I think that's about right, but I'm just going to use a 500 watt power supply with this and a Core i7 2nd gen 2600. Core i7 2600. So it has a blower style design, standard blower style. Nothing, not a big deal, usual stuff. Its dimensions, which will be quite important, is 8.5 inches long, 4.5 inches wide, and 4.38 inches wide, and 1.5 inches thick. So 8.5 by 4.38 by 1.5 inches. And yeah, so that's about it for the specifications of the cards, and I'll just have a close-up. That's your standard X16 port, blower, the intakes. This card is pretty dusty, so I'll have to clean it up. This part looks a bit cleaner. Your exhaust, you could actually cut this out and to allow more airflow, and I've seen people do that. ATI Radeon on that side. I think this part is actually a part of it's a piece of steel. It's a part of the memory heatsink. There are 4 memory cards on this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's Samsung, as I can see there, Samsung. So since this is 1 GB, I guess each of them are 256 each. So that's okay, 256 gigs each. There are some videos where people try to replace these as well. I mean, you could technically replace them, but that's something I've been looking into. It's pretty neat if you could do that. But yeah, so that's the card as a go around, and that's it for the specifications. Now let's jump into the video. Also, don't forget to like this. I'm repeating myself, but please help me out here. I'm a new channel, so don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. And stay tuned to see the benchmark video of this card as well. The links will be in the description and in the card above. So now let's jump into the refurbishment. So just a disclaimer, in this video I'll be cutting a lot of parts out, like me unscrewing stuff and all. I'll be jumping to certain parts. That's how I do it, just to reduce the amount of video time, because I don't really have much space on my phone left. I'm recording this on an old phone. So let's go ahead and open it up. I'm using gloves, by the way, always the best, because where I live there's a lot of static. So I'll get rid of all these screws and take it out, and while I'm taking it out I'll record that. So let me jump to that part. Alright, now I have detached the shroud. So it seems to be a bit loose. I'll just carefully take it up. Be careful of the connector on that side. Don't want to damage that, so let me get my flat screwdriver. Where is it? I dropped my screwdriver box the other day and they're all disorganized since I'm not gonna be bothered to arrange them in order again. So what I usually do is I just pry it out like that, instead of, preferably with a flat tool, plastic tool, but the screwdriver does the job. It's in a tricky place as well. I guess I'll have to remove this side panel as well. This heatsink, this small heatsink, that's for the memory chips. That's a memory chip heatsink. So I'll go ahead and remove that, and I'll jump to that part as well. Okay, so I tried to remove the IO shield panel as well, but some dipshit in the past has probably tried to remove it, and he has completely wasted one of the screws up to a point where I can't turn the screw anymore. So that's a no-go, but I still will be able to lift this off, which is good. The RAM heatsink, and those thermal pads look in good condition, so I don't think I'll have to replace them. Just have to clean it off, that's all. So now we can get that pesky connector out. Okay, we're out. So let's have a look at the PCB first. That's the PCB. Also, sorry about the lighting, it's not the best. I don't have proper camera equipment in my room. Okay, that's the PCB. The cooler is that, so let's start taking that apart. Let's keep the PCB out of the way on a anti-static surface. I have my one of my motherboard anti-static bags over there, so I just kept it on top of that. So let's take apart the heatsink. I don't think I'll fast forward this because it's a bit faster. These older graphics cards, they don't seem like, I'm not sure that this. Most of these older OEM graphics cards, the cooling on them isn't always the best. Now, this has a blower style design, but the copper heatsink looks really small in this. There we are. Oh my god, it's smaller than I thought. Well, it's not copper. The base is copper. The base is copper, but the rest of the heatsink is just really small. As you can see there, it's tiny. So we'll keep that to the side. Let's get rid of the fan. So yeah, as expected, it's OEM. They don't put much detail into the cooling. Those OEM systems are known for overheating and stuff, so. not that dusty either. Like, I've seen dustier. Like the card that I always run, like on a daily, almost a daily basis, my GTX 770, when I got it used, it was way more dusty than this when I took it apart. And most of the things I find in the recycling center. Now that fan is pretty dusty. As you can see there, it is pretty dusty. So I'll go ahead and I'll clean all of this stuff out, remove the dust and so on, and I'll come back to the video. Alright, so I've done cleaning it, cleaning the heatsink and the cooling unit and all the fan. As you can see now, it's pretty clean. Used a toothbrush, cleaned out the thermal paste, this heatsink. There's a bit of dust inside still, but you can't really get that out. I can't really do anything about it. I don't have one of those long, thin brushes like things that you can put. But that'll do. It's just a bit of dust. This thing I just washed it. There's nothing electronic on it. I actually washed the heatsink as well. And yeah. And this I just gave it a brush. I don't want water to get on the heat pad, so yeah. So now let's go back to the PCB. I better get more gloves. Just go downstairs. I'll just hold it from the end there for now. So that's pretty dusty as well, and I gotta clean that thermal paste off. So let's go ahead and clean it off, and I'll just jump to that point in the video. Okay, so as you can see, I've done cleaning the board. It's pretty clean now. As you can see, it's pretty shiny and clean. That's the ATI HD 5770 chip. It's pretty clean now. Now let's just set this to a side for a minute and let's reassemble the assembly, the fan assembly, the cooler assembly. So let's put in the fan first. Initially I thought the fan has a bit of a warp like that, as you can see there, for the heat, but then again when I put it into its place, it does have they have purposely put a warp on it so that it could curve along with the size of the heatsink. So let me just get these screws over here, start putting it back together. I'm still really concerned about the size of the heatsink. I mean, it's really small, if you ask me. Really small. Knowing an older card like this would get real heated up. So I don't know what decisions were made during the design process, but I don't think they were any good decisions, because a bigger heatsink would have done this card a lot better. And I heard from the seller that this thing did overheat pretty bad, so that's why I had concern about this thing warping as well, the plastic. But then again, it just turned out to be the design. So I hope the thermal paste will help, the new thermal paste. I also feel like someone has opened this card before. The seller didn't state that, but that's no problem for me. All the parts are in place, and as long as it works, and it does work, I tested it before opening it, so that I don't have to deal with the seller saying he might, if I want to return it, he say, yeah, you opened it. But I opened it after testing it, whether it works or not. So it does work. There's nothing wrong with the card. The temperatures were like, I played a bit of CSGO. The temperatures were in the high 50s. And oh yeah, just mentioning about CSGO. I'm gonna be running some benchmarks on this card. When I do that video, the link will be in the description and in the card above. So I'll just finish assembling all this and come back to the video. Okay, so I've done reassembling the heatsink, as you can see here. For about half an hour I was playing a game, and I just left I left the heatsink at the back of the exhaust of my other graphics card, my R9280. It produces quite a lot of heat, so there was a bit of water inside there, so I had no idea how to get them out of the grill grooves like that. So I just left it at near the exhaust of my R9280, facing like that. So the water is now all gone. For the heat, I don't have a hairdryer in my room, so I made use of the heat out of the exhaust of my other graphics card. So now let's get the PCB. or the graphics card itself. And now let's apply thermal paste. Let's go in there closer. Let me swap sides. Okay. So, alright. So we have the chip right here, and I'll just wipe it down quickly. I have done cleaning it already, just give it a quick wipe. There's nothing on it. Alright. So what we'll be using for thermal paste is Deep Cool Z5. It's about $4 on Newegg. I've been using this stuff a long time. Really good stuff. And it's cheap as well, so yeah. So let's get to put it. So since it's a small die, we don't want too much thermal paste. Just want a bit. I hope I'm not blocking the camera. I'm going to use the pressure method. I'm not going to spread it with my fingers or something. That'll probably make most PC enthusiasts cringe. I don't do that either. I use the pressure method. I just let the weight of the heatsink, the pressure of tightening the screws on the heatsink, just fix the, like, spread the paste in place. So that's, I guess, about right. Just a bit, maybe put a bit too much, but it's okay. So I'll just let the pressure of the heat pad on the heatsink do its job there. So we're gonna go ahead and reassemble it. What I'm gonna do is, first I'm gonna attach these, the memory thermal pads. I'm gonna attach these first, like that. Tighten the screws at the back. Let me zoom out. I'm surprised that they're held in place only by a small screw. By 2 screws actually at the back, but I think there's a larger screw that goes through the middle that holds it in place as well, plus the additional weight from the cooler. Once I'm done with this, I'll just get started on benchmarks and stuff for the next video on this. Like I said, the link will be in the description and in the card above. And now let's go ahead and put the heatsink, but first we gotta attach the plug. Okay, we are done, and now let's slowly drop this back on. Okay, I'm going to turn it upside down. And first let's install the, I don't know what they call this thing, a spacer, or I don't know, the backplate holder. Just get into focus. You want to evenly spread it out between all the screws. Don't tighten it at all one go. Slowly, evenly spread it out. The first two you want to tighten diagonally like that, and then the other diagonal. That will help spread the thermal paste evenly. Okay, just not too tight either. We don't want it too tight. Just about right. I guess that's just about right. Okay, so what I gotta do next is put on the other screws, but that's just pointless showing you that. So I guess that's it for this video. I'll just do all the other screws later. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like it, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And stay tuned for the next video where I run benchmarks on this on popular games like CSGO, Just Cause 3, Call of Duty World War II, and so on, to see how this card actually performs in, as of now, 2018, and how its 1 gig of VRAM would be enough or not. So stay tuned for that video. The link will be in the description, and again, I'll put it in this card above as well. So yeah, thanks for watching. Thumbs up.